One of my favorite clan boss teams, and definitely the one I recommend the most to anybody that's early or mid game and has 2 man-eaters. If you can't make the speeds of these top tier damage teams, this has to be your go-to. It's so easy to build, it's such slow speeds, and it works so well. And on all 3 difficulties, Brutal, Nightmare, and Ultra Nightmare. Let's go. Welcome, I'm the DeadwoodJedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. We are looking at the easy double man-eater team. Now, this is an old squad. I've done several videos on this, but since a lot of people recently, within the last couple months, got a second man-eater, I wanted to be able to showcase this as an option for you to build a clan boss team with, because it is honestly one of the best. It's an unkillable team, which means you're getting guaranteed 50 turns. What's great about unkillable? You don't have to worry about defense. You don't have to worry about HP. You don't have to worry about surviving. Just worry about damage, and that can really skyrocket your numbers when you can focus all your energy on your crit rate, crit damage, and attack, or defense, depending on champion, right? But that's going to make a world of difference for many of your teams out there. This team is one of the best because it works on Brutal, it works on Nightmare, and it works on Ultra Nightmare. You don't have to change any gear to do it, which is pretty remarkable to be able to make that happen. Just slightly different setups. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, wait a minute, Deadwood, this isn't a full auto, 1 key, unkillable team. What do I care? The reason why you care? Well, maybe you don't. If you can do that already, yeah, this probably isn't your video. But if you do, if you're struggling, if you haven't been able to hit that stage, this is still a great option. And the truth of the matter is, 1 key unkillable full auto, that's not an easy team to build. Not every team is magically going to be able to do that. You still have to get to a 1 key damage spot. You still have to get to a full auto damage team, which those two things aren't always the same. So yeah, we need other options out there. Hence this team, which I think is going to be a really good one for, again, people that are in the early and the mid game, even for a lot of people that are in the late game and are comfortable spending, 30 seconds setting up their team. That's really all this takes to do, is just a little bit of setup in the beginning, and then it's full auto after that. So it's a really nice team, and because the speeds are so low, the gear requirements are super low as well. And yes, this can 1 key Ultra Nightmare. It can do it fairly comfortably if you have the right champions. This team that I'm going to be using today is probably going to be a 2 key team. Just the reality of the champions I'm bringing in, but I'm excited to try because we're going to use some new champions today. So if we look at the team, we've got obviously our double man-eaters right off the jump, right? We're going to be prioritizing their unkillable ability, but opening with their A1s or their A2s because we need a little bit of delay in there. We have Shagur, because I haven't used Shagur in a clan boss team before, and I figured that'd be fun. We're going to prioritize that A2 skill. This is one that's going to give him decreased defense and place a poison, and that's going to be the big thing. Decreased defense is the only decreased defense buff we're going to have out there, or debuff. We need that landing, so that's going to be the priority. This is a 3-turn cooldown, so I feel comfortable prioritizing that. His other 2 skills, I don't care about them, right? We're not going to land sleep off the A1. We're not going to, ignore any, there's no shield block damage or unkillable on the boss, so none of that's going to really matter either, and we're not killing anybody. So it's just about the damage of the skill. Really, I just want to make sure that A2 lands. Then we have Taya in here, and Taya is, a Doom Tower champion. I've never used her before. I do have a 6-star blessing on her though, so we put cruelty on her. We're gonna see that hopefully jump up her numbers a bit. But her big thing, she got a lot of poisons, 3 poisons right here, and she has a poison explosion ability. That's obviously really important for us. So we're gonna prioritize that poison and that explosion ability. She also has an A1 that does decrease, actually not a big factor for us, other than just raw damage. And that's what I'm hoping, that she's actually going to be able to do raw damage in addition to placing and exploding those poisons. Hopefully that'll give us some pretty good results. In addition to that, we have Dark Kale here. We all know Dark Kale, Doom Tower champion. He's really good with the poisons that he places, the extension of the debuffs, right? And his triple attack A1 ability that can explode poisons on each of those hits as well. He's a really good champion, and I'm hopeful between Dark Kale and Taya and whatever free counterattacks we get from being an unkillable team, we're going to be able to get a lot of damage out here and hopefully keep a fairly full debuff bar. Now, one thing maybe I should have done is put 1 or both man-eaters in Toxic Set just to add some more poisons to the mix, because we have 2 exploders. And I'm wondering if we're going to actually run through them all. And that's something, as I'm watching my run, I'm going to pay attention to. Go, oh, you know what? We're exploding all those poisons. We could use some more poisons in here. That's one of those adjustments I would make on my own. Say, hey, okay, man-eater, we're going to give you a Toxic Set. And just add to that so we can get some more damage as we go through this. But I'm not too worried about it for this showcase. I think this is going to be a pretty solid team here as far as just, you know, showing off what we can do here. And I'm hopeful, you know, everything works right. Now, I don't know if you guys have noticed with the speeds there. I should highlight this. They're real slow, right? My fastest champion is a 218 man-eater. Fastest champion. 214 is the other one. Everybody else, 168, 175, 172 speed. They're uber slow. This is why this team is so good. It doesn't take a lot of speed to run a 50-turn unkillable team and get 2-key Ultra Nightmare, maybe even a 1-key if you have the right champions. Again, I don't think that we do in this team, but we're going to do pretty good all the same. I'm hopeful anyway. I'm hopeful. I haven't run it yet. So let's go ahead, jump in, we'll set it up, and we can look at the champions once we get into it. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Okay, big thing, pay attention to what you're doing because you do got to interrupt yourself as you go through this, right? Both man-eaters took 1 turn. I need to make sure I interrupt before the first man-eater takes a 2nd turn. So right here, I'm going to unpause it. A1, perfect. From this point on, he's full auto. Now my slow man-eater, A1, great, no worries. Moving along, boom, there's the 2nd hit, right? Now I can full auto everybody. I got to watch the slow man-eater. He needs 2 more turns of delay here. There goes the fast one. There goes Shagur. Okay, now another A1, boom. No problem, great. And you'll notice that we're affinity friendly for the stun. Now, if I was going against affinity, instead of having my man-eater, my fast man-eater use his unkillable ability there, would have had him use it 1 turn earlier, basically. And that just would have made sure that we wouldn't be affected by the affinity debuffs. And then later on, I'd delay it 1 more turn again. But we're going against Void. I don't have to worry about that. That said, I got 1 more turn delay here with this other man-eater. So I want to make sure I can do that right here. Shagur with some extra attacks. I do love that. Okay, so boom, right there. And now at this point, we are full auto. I gave a 2-turn delay to my fast man-eater, a 4-turn delay to my slow man-eater, and it's full auto after that for Void. Again, if you want to go against affinity, you'd make some other adjustments. Just with that fast man-eater, 1-turn delay, and that's it. The delays for both Nightmare and Brutal can change a little bit, so you do want to pay attention to that. I do have the speed tune on the website, and I'll have it linked down below in the pinned comment description of this video. You guys can access it really easy. But yeah, this is a smooth team. And so, as you watch, we're going to be unkillable and have block debuff on every single clan boss attack. And basically what the man-eaters are doing is they're alternating. One man-eater is going to place his unkillable ability. The other man-eater doesn't, right? And then everybody takes 1 turn, and then that man-eater that didn't place it will take 2 turns. An A1 attack, and then he'll do his unkillable ability again. And then everybody takes 1 turn. And then the other man-eater will take 2 turns, going 1 attack, and then his unkillable ability. This way we stay unkillable for the full time. We have block debuff up for the full fight, and everybody else on the team is taking an attack every single turn, but doesn't have to worry about affinity and doesn't have to worry about being killed or taking any damage. And that's how we get such a good, strong result out of this team. It's kind of a simple approach to it, right? Because they have 5-turn cooldowns and basically they're alternating and they each have a 2-turn duration. We have 4 turns of buffs that we're up. And so we just need to make sure they're alternating, taking an extra turn. And that's what's happening here. It's a real simple team. It works really nicely with these really slow speeds, and it's been around for a long time. And one of the benefits of having an unkillable team, which I absolutely love, is that when you take, I think it's 20% or 25% of damage of your max HP, and you have that retribution mastery from the defensive tree, you have a 50% chance of counterattacking. Well, with unkillable, we're taking hits all the time, right? So there's a huge chance that we're gonna get counterattacks a lot. As long as I have Life Drinker and these champions are built to deal damage, which they are, we have a really good chance of being able to counterattack every single turn. And as you can see, we're doing very good damage, right? I don't know that we always have a full debuff bar, but it's fairly full a lot of the time here. And that's really good news for us as far as, you know, trying to maximize the damage that we're able to put out here. You know, we're doing over 1 million damage a turn, which is a great result for this team. So I'm excited to see what we get at the very end. I mean, I feel like the numbers are gonna only keep climbing from this point out. And, you know, 50 million, I think is pretty guaranteed. Can we get 60? Can we get 65? That's really gonna be the question on this, because pretty easy to substitute somebody else for one of these champions, right? Wouldn't mind a Draco in here for Shagur, for example. There's lots of options as far as this goes. I'm gonna pay attention to the raw damage they do and just kind of get an idea of which champion, you know, is worth building for damage versus building just for the poisons and the abilities they have. Anyway, Let's look at the champions, how I built them, so you know what we have, and then we'll come back at the end of the run. All right, before we jump into the run, I had to make 2 small changes. I want to clarify these for you guys, because these are simple mistakes people do with this team. Like, first off, I want my DPS in front. There's no reason to have man-eaters up there, right? One, if they take the stun, that's fine. It doesn't hurt us at all. And there is likely 1 stun that we might take and be vulnerable for. I want us to be prepared for it. That's that simple, right? Secondly, the other thing is that I needed to change the timing of Taya's skills. What happened is her blood boil skill is like this poison explosion. And unfortunately, she was doing that kind of too early, because what happens is Dark Kale can actually extend the duration of debuffs. And so what ended up happening was Taya would explode and then Kale would extend, but all the debuffs were gone. So I wanted to make sure I had that lined up just so. And because the speeds are going up, I had to do a little delay on Taya. Easy fix, not a problem. So now as we jump in here, we're just going to go ahead and show A1 with everybody. Everybody's going to take a turn except for our slow champions, right? And so we got, you know, half of our champions got a turn there because the boss goes 190. So all our DPS obviously didn't get to take a turn. And here we're going to get a second attack from our man-eater. Now, if I want to make it as affinity friendly, I'm going to show that we're actually going to use this A3 block debuff ability. If I don't care about that, I only care about Void like we're at right now, I could just A1, but I'll show you how it works with affinity right here. So we're going to go ahead and use that. And I just have to make sure to delay this 1 turn later on. The next time he's about to use that skill, I have to interrupt. Just put in a little delay so that we're back on track. The other man-eater, A1, we have a 4-turn delay with him, which is annoying, but just part of the setup here. Again, it doesn't take very long to do. We just have to go through it. Right, fast man-eater, all the DPS are going to do their thing. Fast man-eater is going to do his thing. A1 with the slow man-eater again. That's going to be the 3rd one, right? And you'll notice that the slow man-eater is vulnerable. Only person we can't have take that stun. And if we can do that, then we're in good shape. You can do that with HP reduction, affinity stuff. There's plenty of ways to go about doing that and making sure it works. And then this should be the last delay here with the slow man-eater. 1 more turn. Boom. And at this point, we are in sync. We just have to insert 1 delay with the fast man-eater later on. That's going to be on turn 6. So I can let it run through this first stun here. Boom. No problem with that hit. Everybody's going to take 1 turn. Boom. 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 Extend it. Perfect. That's why I made the change with the champions, right? And now you notice I unautoed it, because right here, while this is available, we want to wait 1 turn. And you see Kale takes a stun there. Not ideal, I'll admit. And the whole delay with Taya thing might come under scrutiny again, but that's okay. We're going to A1 right there. That's something, if I know that's going to happen too, I can incorporate that into my setup phase, right? Not something I have to ignore. But that A1 with man-eater, and at this point, I can go full auto here. One thing I just want to check really quick is with Taya, if I delay Dark Kale skills 1 turn, is it gonna mess that up, and can I adjust to it, right? That's really the question here. Because right now, she should be doing the poison explosion. And that actually should be, I would imagine that's fine now that I think about it. Oh, but you know what? We can just do a 1 turn delay. Easy breezy, really, right? Do a 1 turn delay, and that should put us in sync, because she'll use this, and then she'll come back to that, and I think we'll be in good shape here. So I'll just do a 1 turn delay there, which maybe is unnecessary, but now we're auto, and we're good to go. That's the ideal. That's the idea here. So we're gonna see, does this work? Are we in sync? He does the explosion right there. That's fine. We should be putting up the poisons now, I'd imagine. Nope. A1 from Kale. That's fine. Right? So now we're going to watch. I just want to see how those poisons work and if this should work well for us. You know, one of the interesting things with this team is it's such a DPS damage kind of heavy. All right, we got all the poisons out. Now the key is, does Taya use her A1 here? Does she use her explosion ability? We do want to extend the duration of all these debuffs. A1, that seems perfect for us. He's going to extend the duration of some of the debuffs because Kale's being a jerk about it, I guess. But yeah, that should work good for us here. And now she's going to explode them all. Or maybe extended all the durations. I can't really tell. Perfect. But it looks like we're in good shape. So it looks like we have everything set up the way we want. Now we can just watch it and let it go. And you can see how much damage we're already doing, over 1 million damage per turn. And even though I'm watching and I'm like, we're not getting great individual damage out of Kale. We're not getting great individual damage out of Taya. We're not getting great individual damage out of Shagur. It's not bad, but it's not like God tier level, which is kind of what I was hoping for, right? Considering the way I built them and, you know, the amount of gear that we have these days and the blessings, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more, but you know, it's not terrible. We also don't have weaken out there, which definitely adds, you know, what, 25% damage, right? It's a significant boost to our damage numbers. But that said, I think we're doing pretty solid here. And we're getting a lot of damage out of the poisons, which is really nice. One of the best things about these man-eater teams, because it's unkillable, if you put the retaliation, I think it's retaliation mastery on in the defensive tree, you basically get a 50% chance to counterattack. And the reason why is, you know, assuming you have life shrink on your champions, assuming they can hit hard enough, basically you're going to heal up about 20% of your HP. Using things like leech, having weaken out there, will definitely help these kinds of numbers. But if you have enough HP and you lose 20%, you basically can have 50-50 shot of getting a free counterattack, which is one of the benefits of these man-eater type teams, and one of the reasons why I really, really like them. And it makes for some really good stuff. You don't need a counterattacker to necessarily have success counterattacking with these kinds of squads, and we're getting able to see that with this team right here. Anyway, let's take a look at the champions and their gear, and then we'll jump towards the end and see how much damage we do. We're over 1 million damage a turn, which is very good, but are we gonna, you know, stick around that 50-55 mark? Are we gonna hit 60 million, 65 million? Because obviously there's some better champions we could bring in to really take us up to that 1 key level. So let's take a look at the gear on these champions. We're gonna start over here with Shagur, who I just kind of want to bring in. We're trying some new stuff with some of the DPS. I figure why not mix it up a little bit? Maybe not optimal, but could be fun. Shagur obviously brings decreased defense and a little bit of poison. I'm not sure if it's actually going to be effective at all, but you know, we'll see how it goes. But decreased defense and hopefully some real good damage. And the way I built him is to maximize that, right? We're talking about a lot of crit damage, 289, 66,000 attack. So hopefully we'll get a chance to really see what he can bring. And then masteries, you're going to see this with everybody. We're going down the offensive tree to War Master or Giant Slayer, and then the defensive tree to get that counterattack ability with what I believe is called Retribution, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that gives us basically a 50% chance to counterattack. You don't need a counterattack champion in this team because you're counterattacking literally half the time anyway, because you're always going to be losing a lot of health whenever the clan boss hits, which is really nice. So I'm very happy with Shagur. I think that's going to be fun. We're also going to bring in Taya. Now, I actually have a 6-star blessing on Taya randomly. So we have full Helm Smasher. I put a cruelty on her, so like as far as like reducing defense, it's gonna be completely full with that as far as the amount we can. So that's actually kind of exciting. Maybe I would have been better with like Phantom Touch or something, but we're rolling with it. Again, same offensive tree and defensive tree masteries. And then as far as the gear, we're just looking to get to the stats. I don't care that much about set. And so, you know, being able to get 100% crit rate, good accuracy, 260 crit damage with over 6,000 attack, a pretty good number, I'd say, for an epic champion. So I'm happy with that. Interested to see what kind of damage she's going to be able to put up for us. And then, of course, and she does put up poisons. That's the big thing that she brings. She brings us poisons, as does Dark Kale. Both her and Dark Kale give us poison explosion too. So I'm interested to see, can we get enough poisons up? Can we keep them up enough? And we, you know, explode them along the way. That's going to be a big source of our damage, independent of the raw damage, which we should be getting from both of them. Dark Kale also has, what, 56, 57, 5,800 attack on him with 250 crit damage. Plenty of accuracy as well. You can see the same kind of masteries, offensive, defensive tree. We are going down to Giant Slayer with him because he has a triple attack A1. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think we're going to get enough shots at that, especially with the counterattacks, to make that worth it. But it's a bit of a 50-50 kind of shot with the way his kit is set up here. That said, I'm hopeful that, you know, between him and Taya, we'll have plenty of poisons out there and plenty of explosions, and then hopefully Shagur can add to those poisons, but also make sure we have the decreased defense, so we're getting some raw damage in as well. We are missing weaken from this team, not ideal. For some reason, I thought Dark Kale had it, but he doesn't, so that's just something we're going to be missing from this team. It's okay, though. We're primarily a poison squad. That's really where we're going to get most of our damage. Then we have our two man-eaters, right? We obviously have, you know, the fast, we have the fast one, right? And that one's got, you know, 260, 270 crit damage, you know, 3,500 attack or so. This is kind of how you want to build them. Build them with attack, build them with crit damage, and 100% crit rate. And that's really what you're looking for here. Not too worried about anything else. Doesn't need to survive, doesn't need accuracy. In fact, you want as little accuracy as possible. And again, offensive and defensive masteries. The other man-eater, a slower one, same kind of concept, right? Almost identical numbers, really almost identical numbers across the board, and same style of masteries on there too. So that's kind of what we're looking for here. You know, as many counterattacks as we can, as much raw damage as we can as we go through this fight. Hey, yo, 63 million damage is not bad at all. Actually, really happy with that. I wasn't sure we would get that much damage, but I think that's a pretty darn good result. Interesting thing with Shagur, obviously getting some free counterattacks pretty much every time the boss took a turn. I'm not sure if that's based off of his passive ability or what, but that was kind of interesting. I saw him taking a lot of extra attacks. Taya did okay damage, right? The A1 was a little underwhelming as far as damage goes. It's like about 80,000 or so. I'd imagine with the weakened debuff out there, we're getting probably around 100,000, which is okay, but nothing crazy. But the A2, the A3 both did considerable damage, and that's in addition to the poisons and the poison explosion. So not a bad champion for that. Dark Kale was definitely disappointing raw damage wise, just wasn't, you know, doing a whole lot for us. So without abundant poisons and explosion, Dark Kale I think loses a lot of value. And that's one of the things, in my opinion, poisons are going to tick regardless, unless you're really overfilling the poison on the debuff bar. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I always feel like poison explosion is a little bit of a waste unless you can really overfill things. This team is close to being able to do that, but even this team wasn't really able to. So definitely a couple toxic sets would not go amiss. It is about timing things, right? You know, there is a point where you want everything gone. And Ty's explosion and Dark Kale's explosion, you know, can kind of work for that. But it is a little bit tricky. You do want to time some of the skills in the, you know, the debuffs. Make sure that you're always having room to place the big poisons and time to explode them. So, but as you can see, really successful team. Very easy to replace one of these champions and get to that one key mark, right? Obviously, you may not have the gear I do, but obviously, just as obviously, getting a 2 key with this team is incredibly easy to do, which is one of the reasons why I think it's such a good beginner and entry level kind of land boss team. It's not hard. It's not hard on your gear. It's not hard on your champions other than having 2 man-eaters. You can bring in almost anybody. Frozen Banshee and Grave Shield Killer work great in a team like this. So there's a lot of options to be really successful with this squad in particular. Anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. This is, you know, another one of those great man-eater teams that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. We get enamored with these 1 key full auto teams, but there's a lot of steps to get to that point. This is one of those teams that can be a great choice along the way of a team to build. So definitely recommend it to you. I had somebody just the other day talk to me about building this team. And how like helpful it was, and like it's something they've been using for a long time now. So I definitely want to make sure I can share this with you guys and you all are aware of it. Make sure to check it out on the website. I'll have that link down below in the pinned comment description. Otherwise, guys, thanks so much for sticking around. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this. Hit that like button as well and notification bell so you don't miss the next one. And until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.